I'm going to be working with the links that I have here. First of all, the link to the support files, which are basically just files that have images, both large and small thumbnails, and also to the Lightbox website. There are many different types. You can just Google Lightbox and you'll find different ones. This link right here is the basic Lightbox, so forth. But we're also going to be talking about how to set up thumbnails and gallery images in the best way. So I'm working with my MySite folder, and right now I have a home page based on the layout that we've been working on in class. What I'm going to do is I'm going to download the link to the demo images that I have up there, and if you unzip it, what I did was I just created a gallery folder inside the images folder, and then inside there I have the large size images here. You can kind of get a sense of the size of them. You can really see that in the horizontal view. Generally they're a little bit bigger, but these are just to give you kind of an idea what to work with. I'm working in the range of around 78, 124, 259. See, the horizontal one is going to be a little bit bigger, and then of course 4 megabytes, you are not going to use that size there. Then I have the thumbnail images. Now, one thing I do want to call attention to in the thumbnail images is that I've got 2 verticals and 1 horizontal. And that's, if I've got a lot of pictures in a gallery, unless I'm doing like a mosaic Pinterest type gallery, that's not going to look very good. So what I'm going to do is do what I normally do with galleries, and that is I'm going to open them up with Photoshop. And what I generally do with the Photoshop galleries is that I go over to the crop tool, and with the crop tool selected, I usually do width and height resolution, and this is where I determine what my thumbnail size is going to be, and usually it's anywhere between 75 to 150. I'm going to split the difference and do 100 pixels. Do make sure you type in pixels, otherwise you're going to get inches, and that won't be very good. Okay, so I'm going to have a concentric square. So this is a set width and height, and I'm just going to hit enter on all of these, just kind of separate them. And then in a situation like this where they're not filling the picture, I actually take the area of interest, of most interest, and cut out the rest. Because again, it's a thumbnail, it's not the full-sized image, so it doesn't really matter as much. And so again, I'm just going to drag it across the area of interest there. So these are now going to be exactly the same size. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into File, Export, Save for Web, and these are, let's save that out, and I'm going to save these into the thumbnails. In fact, I might give this a little bit more of a title here. Save that in there. So I've saved all 3 of these as JPEGs, of course. I know it looks a little small here, but if you look at the actual size of them, they're about this big, so that's a pretty good thumbnail size. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Dreamweaver. I'm going to put this in design view here, that's usually easier. I'm going to delete the content. First of all, I'm going to save this file as gallery.html. Now where you save this is extremely important. I'm just going to go, for the time being, I'm just going to save it onto my root level, on the same level as my home page. And again, I'm just going to take the content that's in there, just delete that. And then I'm going to set up a 3 gallery divs here. So I created a style here that has, it's a gallery class style, width 33%, text align center, float left, box sizing border box, and padding 10 pixels. And then below, in the article area, pull this up. In the article area, I have 3 div class galleries. That's for 3 columns for each of these images. Then I'm going to just put the cursor inside that area, go up to the Insert Image, and I'm just going to insert my thumbnails. So I'm just going to insert each one of these into that area. So as you can see, I just put the images in there. And then of course in live view, I did add an H1 here for the to give the name, otherwise these are just going to be floating this to the top. And you will see that each one of these are nice and neat. Of course, it'd probably be better if they're just this size. They would have been better if they're a little larger, or I could put more columns in there, but you get the point. Then what I'm going to do for each one of these is I'm going to add a link. Just put a pound sign because it's not going to link to anything yet. Actually, I lied. They will be linking to the actual large image, and you can actually do that now. Before I do that, though, you may notice that I named each one. This is a little trick that I like to do to kind of save a little time. Is I named them with the actual content that I'm going to put in the alt tag. Notice here for the file name, it's all strung together. I just copy that and then paste it into the alt tag area and then add an extra space in there. That saves a little extra time since this is becoming more and more of a requirement these days. But anyway, I'm going to select the image, and then for the link, I'm actually going to link to the large version here. We can actually take care of that right now, even before we download Lightbox. So that's this image there. And that's this image there. All right. So the reason, first of all, by doing this, I'm just going to hit save there and preview this in the browser, is that by doing that, at least when I click on it, I have a working thumbnail. The problem with this is it's not very user-friendly because as I click on it, I see the large image. I have no navigation, so the viewer actually has to hit the back button. It's not really the best way to go about this. However, if Lightbox is really not working for you, that is a second choice. Next thing I'm going to do is download Lightbox. I'm going to actually save link as, and I'm going to save it into my folder there for my site. Then I'm going to unzip it. Now this is, again, I'm doing this, go ahead and throw the zip folder into the trash. I'm doing this because I want to make sure that my relationships are as simple as possible. It might even be a little bit easier to put this gallery.html into this area right here. And to make this even easier, I'm just going to call this Lightbox. So what I mean by that is I go back to Dreamweaver and I'm going to do File, Save As for the gallery.html. I'm actually going to save it into the Lightbox folder. In fact, there's a reason why I do this. If I click the examples folder, I can save it inside the examples folder because this index.html has all the links in the right place, so I can just copy and paste it. But I'm going to make it a little harder. I'm going to actually just save it directly into the Lightbox because it has a better page hierarchy. Make sure you do update the links so you keep your images and your style sheets connected. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into the examples in the Lightbox folder. And you can see that the examples work. And this is important because what I've noticed is that when you follow the instructions on the website, they don't tend to work. And I have my theories on that. But what does work is the actual example folder. So I'm going to work from that instead. So right now, just so you know, the working files are in this dist folder. I'm going to open up the example file. That's this one right there. And what you're going to see is a couple of links to style sheets. And this is the Lightbox style sheet. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to paste it into my gallery page. Usually I do it just before the end of the head, right there. But this relationship doesn't work because this gallery page is not inside. Let me show this here. This gallery page is not inside this examples folder. The gallery page is outside. So that's all I have to do then is get rid of these little dots and a forward slash because I'm not trying to go outside of a folder and then inside the dist folder. I'm just going to go directly inside the dist folder. So this link now is correct. And by the way, the reason why I don't think it works in the instructions is that in your files that you're provided here, you've got two different versions. You've got the CSS version and you've got the .min. The .min is for computer reading only. It's not really for any developer use. It's really hard to read. They both do the same thing, but I suspect that this file doesn't work, whereas this file does work. And you see that in the example file and not necessarily in the demo file. However, you can try it if you want to and see if you can finish it. I'm going back to the original example file, and at the very end, this always catches me, there's another file that goes to a JavaScript. I'm going to copy, paste that into the same location on my file just before the end of the body. And again, I'm going to update the changes. Now I'm linked to the JavaScript file folder and the style sheet folder. And the only thing I have to do now is just turn it onto each one of these thumbnail images. So the way to do that is to look at the example file here, and what makes it work is right here. When you look at the link, you have data-lightbox example 2 and then data-title. So I've taken both of those elements, the data-title lightbox equals example 2 and the data title optional caption. Now, I'm going to change this because what this does is it groups all my images together via this name. So I don't like example 2, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call it gallery. You can name it whatever you want. And then the caption, I'm going to just go ahead and take the